Hey guys, subscribe for daily content. And if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got something really interesting to unbox and share with you guys. So this box, just gonna double check, was sent by USA Made Blade. I'm sure you guys have checked them out before. I've actually been buying stuff from them since well before the channel, so if you're not familiar with USA Made Blade, I've conveniently linked them down in the description. You should absolutely check them out. They carry exactly what you'd expect. USA Made Blades. So really cool retailer, and Scott is an excellent guy. I know you guys are a lot of you are very familiar with Scott there at USA Made Blade, so check him out. Thanks to USA Made Blade for sending these in for me to take a look at. Thanks to my patrons for supporting me, and please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. Okay, what do we have? Something that me personally, this is a maker that I have talked about many times, and definitely has created some of my favorite USA designs to date. So let's get these out. Oh boy. We got a couple of Georges here. Huge fan of Les George knives. A lot of people, whether they realize it or not, have actually handled or might even be carrying Les George designs. You know, because a lot of times I see people say like, yeah, it looks exactly like this knife from this company, or that it looks a lot like that. It's because Les George designed it. Somewhere on the knife, usually it'll say George. So apparently, USA Made Blade has a whole bunch of these. So you guys can actually go there and buy these right now in various configurations. So these will be linked specifically down in the description, and you guys can check them out if you want. I have not done, oh boy, that is, you weren't kidding, Scott. That is, I've not seen a black one that's black titanium with the, they call it, is it like the something morph texturing there? Oh boy. So this is the ESV. Oh man. Okay, let me say something right off the bat. I've handled this knife before, and if I honestly can't remember. It's hard because I'm closing in on 4,000 uploads. It's hard, so just cut me a break. I can't remember all the time. I think I have a review of this knife, but I'm not 100% sure. Right off the bat, though, this thing has substantially better action than the one that I handled. Yeah, that is actually really nice. S45VN, which is one of my favorite steels of all time, and you get the Les George ergos, right? It's, wait a minute. See, I'm thinking SBR, but that's ProTech. The SBR, the ProTech SBR is modeled after this, which I'm almost 100% sure is called the ESV. But these are in-house USA. This is not a mass production thing. These are in-house USA small batch, which means they are going to be substantially more expensive than, you know, a typical mass-produced USA knife, like something from ProTech, or something mass-produced that's made in China. That's how this is. You'll discover, if this is new information for you, you'll discover a whole universe, not just a whole world, but a whole universe of companies that operate this way with, you know, people who are very, very dedicated, myself included, to supporting these people. Because without their existence, we wouldn't have the collaboration knives through various companies that allow people to get their hands on some of these designs for less money. So this is the type of stuff that I like to support. Being from the United States, you know, I'll review and, you know, praise anything that is of quality regardless of the country of origin. But personally, I really enjoy supporting people like Les George, who make an honest, super quality product right here in the United States, right? And then by extension allow, like I said, companies to use their designs and make things in mass production so that people can get their hands on them for less money. This is really cool. I've not seen anything, so I immediately want to see this black on some of the other models that he does. My favorite, of course, being the VECP V3, and I think a lot of you might feel the same way. But that's really, really cool. And then what do we have for the other one? I think it's also the same thing, but just a different configuration. Oh, we have a bronze boy in here too. So they must have a whole bunch of, so this would be none, I really wish the pocket clips were shorter on these. They're so long. I think they're about the same size as the ones on the standard versions, right? Or I say standard, the VECP V3. But so we have this, not even bronze, it's almost like an FDE bronze. It's like a flat bronze and then no texturing. They have, I think it's a few different texture patterns. Let's see here. Exactly the same thing with this guy. Maybe the one that I handled, this is actually cool with the bronze, or I'm sorry, the black hardware. And by the way, he uses large fasteners here. So we have this huge, I think it's a T15. Yeah, it's probably T15 or so. And then we have T8 at least on the body screws. Just a couple on each side, and then 3 screws for the titanium. Now, on this knife, there's a little bit of an area where the detent ball has not quite got up on the face of the blade, but it's short enough that it doesn't bother me too much, right? When the blade's a little bit longer and you're worried about the thing coming down on your finger, right, maybe. But there is a little bit of that, so I just want to keep you guys aware. But the detent strength on these is beautiful. It's literally just a shorter VECP, or technically it's the rock eye. The original was the rock eye, what I think all of these designs are based off of. But this is really cool. I'm going to guess there's quite a few additional configurations. Like I said, let's do some size comparisons and then weigh them. And before I get too far into, of course, I am so glad you guys can't see outside of my little rectangle. A few people on my Patreon and on my Discord have seen pictures of this office that I do my work out of, and it might look exactly like what you expect. There's knife stuff everywhere. But oftentimes I have to move things around because it's not a huge office. So the VECP, the larger guy, I'm going to show you guys and do a size comparison with that. So there's the VECP. That's a version 3. Put these up here. So this is what we're looking at for the size. It is every bit the same quality. These are made exactly the same way as the Midtech VECP. So if you're wanting, you're like, what is the tier that these are in? I can actually show you the exact tier that these are in, and I'll use some actual examples of knives, some physical examples of knives. So the VECP V3 and the ESV are in the exact same tier as the, let's say, the Umnumzan from Chris Reeve, the Full USA Demco AD20, and even the Hinderer XM18. That is the exact tier that we're looking at, and that's the pricing tier that we're looking at. So they are smaller, but they are made with the exact same level of quality, and they're done the same way, right? In-house. And I mean, like, literally almost everything. Like Hinderer, for example, doesn't make the bearings in-house, but everything else is done that way. It's the same kind of deal with Les George. Actually, truthfully, I think this black one is probably a little bit better looking. But that's, it's up to you, how you feel. Let's do a measurement here. Overall length. ESV coming in at 6.5 inches, 2.75 inch blade, 2.65 something or other cutting edge, something like that. I think a lot of people get hung up on how big the knife should be for X amount of money. That's not how that works. That can be preference. Your preference, of course, should play a role there. If you have a preference for a larger knife, which personally I do, right? But if you're stuck on the idea that because it is smaller, it has to have a smaller price tag, no. Because at the end of the day, it really comes down to how much work is going into the knife. Obviously, the total amount of material is one thing, but how much work is going into it, right? And then the cost as a business, right? What does it cost to produce? How long does it take? Where is it made, right? The end result, right, will dictate the cost. So it's okay if you don't like small knives, but we can't just expect everything that's a little bit smaller to cost a little bit less. Not all the time. Not all the time. Some size comparisons up against some other more common knives. Spyderco Pair Through. I'll do some smaller ones so we can get a good look. The Benchmade Bug Out. Let's do CJRB Pyrite. How about Ontario Rat Model 2? And maybe Hogue Deca. Here we go. And then I think probably we should weigh them. I doubt there's going to be a difference in weight between these two, but we'll go ahead and do it just to see. These are very cool. I'm really impressed with the... I just thought, well, maybe the ESVs just don't have the same action. Maybe the one that I handled was just really tight. So the weight on the black one here, 3.99 ounces. The weight on the bronze or FDE slightly heavier, and that's probably because it doesn't have the machining on it. So, okay, there we go. ESVs available at USA Made Blade. Links in the description. Check out all the different versions. Very happy. We're looking at S45VN. You know, RIP to CTSXHP. Apparently that's a steel that's not being produced in the same quantities it used to be. I know that the, you know, like for example, my VECP is actually in, if I remember correctly, let's look. This is one of the most recent runs of it. This is in CTSXHP, which is a fantastic steel. But S45VN is also very, very good. In fact, it's probably one of the most preferable stainless steels outside of like Magna Cut. But the reason being is that it's very easy to get the appropriate heat treat on it, and it's a lot easier to sharpen than something like M390 at the appropriate rock wall. And it's extremely stainless and already has really, really great. It's a little tougher M390, but yeah, I think it's a good choice for this blade. Anyways, caffeine kicking in. I started this video shortly after having some caffeine. 11 minutes later, we've definitely shifted gears here. Anyways, check out USA Made Blade. Please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and click on that Metal Complex logo right there and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.